Emotions can be like anchors dragging you down or like handcuffs keeping you in check. But imagine if you could unlock them. What if you used these feelings as tools rather than limitations? We look at 7 Stoic lessons that can help you control your emotions and face life's challenges head-on with solid resolution. Rule number 1: reflect before you react. In the current digital era, where instant gratification is frequently praised, the practice of introspection may appear outdated. However, in a society where quick decisions are expected of us, it is precisely this act of pausing and thinking that may prove to be our savior. Think about all the times we have to make decisions, big and small, from picking a meal at a restaurant to deciding on a professional route. There is a wide range of options available, but how we approach these choices is more important than how big they are. Let's start with a typical situation: reading a message that makes you uncomfortable. Perhaps it's a friend making an impolite remark, or a coworker challenging your job. A natural response could be defensiveness or rage. But what if you took a step backwards rather than plunging blindly into that emotional maelstrom? You're not repressing your feelings when you give them room to breathe and be understood. Rather, you're allowing yourself that brief period of emotional distance. This reflective technique is about actively engaging with our thoughts and feelings, rather than about avoiding or accepting them passively. Asking thoughtful questions is key. For example, why did this comment have such a profound effect on me? Which ingrained convictions or earlier encounters are affecting my feelings right now? Does my initial response stem from the current circumstances or my past baggage? Furthermore, one strategy for promoting empathy is to think before acting. We also allow ourselves to think about other people's points of view when we give ourselves enough time. Perhaps that friend didn't appreciate the impact of what they said, or perhaps that coworker was having a rough day. We can gain insight by reflecting not only for ourselves, but also for those around us. This behavior can serve as a pillar in relationships. If we took the time to think things through before acting, how many misunderstandings may be prevented? How many bridges could be constructed rather than destroyed? These are the times when reflection brings us connection, understanding, and clarity. Furthermore, pausing to think is a very valuable skill in professional contexts. Leaders who pause before acting are frequently more well-liked and productive. They are seen as deliberate, cool-headed, and smart. Their well-considered choices frequently hold up over time. Reflection becomes a type of resistance in a society that often seems to be moving at a breakneck pace. It is a quiet but strong declaration that we will not be carried away by the currents of immediacy. It's a pledge to the quality of our relationships with the outside world, to ourselves, and to our well-being. Reflecting before acting is, in essence, more than simply a technique. It's a philosophy, a way of life that values comprehension over impulsiveness, profundity over breadth, and deep relationships over transient exchanges. It's an internal trip with far-reaching external effects, influencing not only our reactions, but also the structure of our existence. Second rule: quit caring for everyone. Reduce your empathy while giving to everyone. Human attributes that are highly regarded include empathy, understanding, and sensing what another person is going through. It helps us relate, comfort, and form bonds. However, an excessive amount of empathy can drain our energy and mind. It may, at times, draw us into the problems of others at our own price. What really matters is how you respond to events, not the events themselves, as the renowned philosopher Epictetus once observed. This viewpoint is particularly important when it comes to empathy. Although sympathizing is a normal reaction, knowing when to intervene and when to back off is crucial. Imagine a sponge that is constantly absorbing water. It comes into contact without sometimes wringing it out. Eventually, it will get overly damp and worthless. Similar to this, we often experience emotional overload when we have an overwhelming emotional connection to everything and everyone. This causes us to lose focus, become exhausted, and cause our own goals to fall by the wayside. This is about deliberate empathy, not about ignoring the feelings or circumstances of others. It is knowing when to become emotionally involved and when to take a step back. In this manner, you protect yourself from unnecessary emotional strain and ensure that your empathy is real, focused, and significant when you choose to express it. Selecting the right moments and situations to show empathy becomes crucial on the road to emotional detachment. It assists you in moving through life with clarity, ensuring that your emotional energy isn't spent on every fleeting thought or occasion. Rule number 3. Keep your distance from those who spread negativity. The people we choose to surround ourselves with have a profound impact on our emotions, perspectives, and general well-being. A negative individual can cast a shadow over our lives, depleting our energy and clouding our judgment, much like one sour apple can destroy the whole bunch. The tenets of Stoicism included self-care and self-worth. They came to understand that although we have no control over the actions of others, we do have control over who we surround ourselves with. Renowned for his Stoic viewpoints, Diogenes said, "We have one mouth and two ears to make sure we listen twice as much as we talk." This emphasizes how crucial it is to pay attention to our inner voice and be cautious of the associations we make. Consider the individuals in your life. Do they often sow doubt, propagate negativity, or minimize your aspirations? It's critical to recognize and avoid these harmful influences. It's not about harboring resentment, but realizing that some relationships need to be severed or loosened for your mental well-being. It's not cruel to let go of poisonous individuals. It's about respecting yourself. It suggests that you prioritize maintaining your emotional equilibrium and inner serenity. By doing this, you strengthen your environment and make sure that doubt and negativity have no place there. Rule number 4. Recognize the things you can control. Have you ever been stuck in life's storms rather than the type that includes rain and thunder? Sudden shifts, disappointments, or unexpected happenings? The dichotomy of control is a lesson from the Stoics, ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, that feels like an anchor in these turbulent times. Imagine this. You have a planned outside event, and in spite of your best efforts, the rain falls. Now, as much as you'd like to, you have no power over the weather. But how did you respond to the rain? It is totally up to you on that. You may moan and become angry, or you could make an adjustment and look at the rain as a welcome change of pace or shift the event indoors. Simply put, some things are in our control and others not. Epictetus was a Stoic philosopher who was born a slave and went on to become one of the most prominent intellectuals of his day. Yes, it sounds easy enough. However, this simplicity conceals a deep understanding that has the capacity to completely change our lives. We encounter a wide range of scenarios every day, some of which we have control over, such as our daily schedules, the books we read, or the people we hang out with. However, a lot of things are beyond our control, including the weather, other people's behavior, the passage of time, and world events. This is where things get interesting. According to the Stoics, our happiness is determined by how we perceive and react to outside circumstances rather than by those events themselves. Our feelings are triggered by our perception of the event, not by the event itself. Consider a period when you experienced a setback, such as not landing the desired job. Although it seemed disastrous at the time, you may have come to see it as a blessing in disguise that helped you advance personally or find a better opportunity. However, how can we actually do this? Is this something I have control over? Should be your first question. Act if the response is in the affirmative. If the response is negative, this presents an opportunity to work on acceptance and flexibility. This is a principle that, if we really get and use, can save us from needless suffering. Knowing that we can modify our sails, even though we are powerless over the wind, allows us to sail through life with a sense of calm. The paradox of control is a ray of clarity in an otherwise confusing world. It serves as a reminder to direct our energies where it counts most, and to accept the peace that comes with realizing that there are things that are just beyond our reach. Rule number 5. Practice dispassion. The concept of practicing dispassion may seem strange in a world where emotions are constantly in flux. But let's examine its actual meaning and its transformational potential in more detail. Dispassion is about developing a balanced viewpoint, a calm in the midst of the storm, rather than about repressing feelings or losing interest in the world. Imagine being able to look at things without getting overwhelmed by them, situations, events, even your own feelings. When was the last time you saw a compelling film? There were tense, exciting, and possibly even depressing moments. Even as you were drawn into the narrative, you realized deep down that it was only a film. Instead of running to the hero's aid or comforting the character who was crying, you watched, you felt, but you stayed where you were, being fully present in life and experiencing all of its emotions, while also understanding when to step back and watch from the sidelines without becoming engrossed in the drama, is the essence of practicing dispassion. In the current era of information overload, this method has become indispensable. We get inundated with notifications and news updates every day. If we responded angrily to every bit of information, we would never stop being tired. Dispassion provides a cushion, a method to interact with the world in a more balanced, sustained way. Interpersonal connections also heavily depend on dispassion. We have all experienced intense discussions and arguments in various settings. Dispassion practice in these situations can mean the difference between a fruitful conversation and a harmful conflict. It enables us to respond instead of react, listen more skillfully, and handle conflict with grace and understanding. Self-awareness is the first step in developing dispassion. A gap between stimuli and response is created by regularly checking in with ourselves, identifying our emotional triggers, and comprehending our patterns. There is room for us to choose our responses, to act on purpose rather than on impulse. Furthermore, dispassion enriches life's delights and pleasures, despite the fact that it may sound like a detachment from them. We may totally immerse ourselves in the journey and enjoy each moment without worrying about change or loss, if we are not unduly connected to the outcome. Dispassion practice is about achieving balance in a world that is constantly changing. It's a compass that leads to inner serenity and gracefully navigates the many paths of life. By adopting this technique, we improve not only our own lives, but also the lives of everyone around us by instilling clarity and calmness. Rule number 6, don't let love for someone overwhelm you. Love is an amazing emotion. It unites us and provides meaning to our life. However, when it's very strong or biased, it can be harmful to us. If it is taken away or not returned, it may cause depression, cloud our judgment, and reveal our weaknesses. The dangers of intense attachment were frequently explored by Stoic thinkers who emphasized emotional balance. The Stoic and Emperor Marcus Aurelius observed, "You control your ideas, not what happens around you." When you grasp this, you find your inner strength. He was referring to the ability to love without getting overly attached. In our personal lives, this lesson is much more evident. Think back to a time when you could have loved someone so much that your happiness was determined by their decisions. Emotions such as betrayal, love loss, or disappointment at wishes not realized can be difficult to deal with. But what if you could love just as much without having to take the risks? The key lies in understanding that love, like other emotions, comes and goes. While it lasts, treasure it, yet don't let it be the anchor that limits you. Consider it instead like the wind blowing you along, offering guidance but not taking control of your path. Only you should determine your own course. You strengthen your soul and protect your heart when you master the art of unconditional love. You don't have to be afraid to suck yourself into deep relationships. It's the first step toward real emotional equilibrium, in which emotions control you rather than the other way around. Rule number 7. Make yourself a priority. Set boundaries and reserve your availability. Establishing boundaries, whether they be material or psychological, is essential to maintaining our sense of self and safeguarding our mental well-being. Setting boundaries in a society where constant connectivity is expected and there's a tacit expectation to always be accessible may seem difficult, but in order to develop fortitude and become dispassionate, you must take this step. The Stoics were aware of the value of reflection and time. Seneca said it so wisely, "Every moment you have is genuinely yours." However, how often do we waste it by being available to everyone, immediately responding to all notifications, or fulfilling all requests? When we don't establish boundaries, we are effectively telling everyone that our time, effort, and feelings are unworthy and should be freely taken. Being available all the time can lead to tiredness, discontent, a feeling of burden, and even hopelessness. Imagine leaving all of your windows and doors open, allowing anything and anybody to come and disrupt your peace. Setting limits is an indication of self-worth. It's a sign that you value your solitude, emotional reserves, and time. It's about knowing that being chosen for availability doesn't lessen your concern for other people, accepting rejection with confidence and without regret, and setting aside time for introspection on your own. It only demonstrates that you value yourself as well. In order to avoid becoming sentimental, it's important to establish boundaries. It serves as a safeguard, making sure that your emotional capital isn't continuously depleted. This position enables you to maintain a balance and vitality without outside requests. Light up your inner enthusiasm and don't allow anything to hold you back. Life is an adventure and you are destined to conquer. Make sure to subscribe for more engaging videos before you leave. Go now and use your inner power to conquer the day.